Cameron McFie. I love talking to managed service providers, ex-managed service providers that are making solutions for managed service providers now. Cameron's in the ConnectWise PitchIT program, really great incubator program, about 25 vendors in it. Winner gets a lot of money and second place gets a little less money. And I think third place gets steak knives, if I'm not mistaken. But Cameron, he's from Australia and he started a mining company. He loves, by the way, I open up with it. He likes to smoke meat. He has a fascination with fire that's really quite interesting. But he'll take 20 hours to smoke some brisket and spritz it every hour. I hope one day I get to try it. But fascinating hobbies. He's also a big Formula One fan. He's been traveling the world. He travels 6 months out of the year and he mixes business with pleasure. He watches a lot of Formula One. He wants to go to Monaco soon as well. But he worked at these companies, eventually an MSP, and found that billing was a big issue. He was at an MSP worth $200 million, and he discovered as CTO that they were underbilling by 5%. Imagine the turnaround that made. So he worked on that. Then he's branched off now and he's made Zenith that does exactly that. It helps MSPs bill properly. You may think billing, well, that just gets done by somebody. But if it can increase your revenue, if you're underbilling by 5%, that's worth time. It's a fascinating approach. But I love talking to Cameron. He's got great passion and really, really nice guy and smart guy as well. Thanks for listening. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz. People ask me, how did I lose 130 pounds? The quick answer is always discipline. I started my business, wasn't paying attention to my health, was eating too much, drinking too much sweets. My daughter was born. Next thing I know, I'm pre-diabetic, I have hypertension. I knew something had to change. Discipline. I, like many of you, have faced many challenges in your career, in your family, in your life, in your faith. How did you attack them? How did you approach them? How did you solve them, hopefully? It all had to have some degree of discipline. I'm also asked, how did you found and start a tech business that lasted over 25 years? Discipline. I was committed to it, enjoyed technology, didn't enjoy some aspects of it, but knew it was necessary. Discipline. Our podcast mission, how do we use discipline to better ourselves and society? Join me, please, as I talk to interesting people and discuss how they use discipline in their family and their passion and their careers and how it helped them. Our podcast vision, growth through learning from others. Joey Pinz Disciple Conversations. It'll be light and serious. Join us, please. Thank you for consideration. So I will be having conversations with a lot of the coaches and the finalists from 2023 and, just kind of talking about them a little bit and their solution in some future podcasts. We want to make kind of an introduction to that as well.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, like I said, as the years progress, more people are getting involved, and then back to these vendors looking for a way to create a name for themselves with consistency. They need people like you, which is why I'm so thrilled that you're willing to work with me and work with us on this. So you're going to be you've graciously accepted to host these, and I appreciate that. Where you'll interview all our contestants. You're also going to interview last year's head coaches, last year's judges, last year's finalists. So you're doing all that. And I think it's important, for if you're a vendor and you're watching these, take note of this and how you get more involved. Watch the program. Watch what these men and women are all doing with us, because they're doing a lot. That's how you grow your business. If you're an MSP, watch these things. Get to know who people are and then inquire, because you're all looking to have stack alignment and you're all looking for credible and reputable businesses. We're vetting them out for you. We're putting them on display for you. Watch them, ask questions, find out, do your due diligence. Don't wait until IT Nation Connect to see you like in a booth and then buy 5 or 6 different technologies that you don't need.
So 2024 PitchIT, ConnectWise PitchIT. What's new and exciting about it?
Oh my Lord. So For those that have not followed any of this, I took over the PitchIT program 2 years ago, and we've had such great success, with like really great success. And went from it's become one of the most predominant programs in the space now. Matter of fact, I was doing some research the other day, and about 5 or 6 other pitching things have spun off from mine
Wow.
and from ConnectWise PitchIT, with other people that are running it. So it's great to see, because I think it's the thing about PitchIT is it's all about innovation. It's all about being daring and willing to do things right. I mean, as an entrepreneur, it's a scary situation. You have to be ignorantly optimistic, and you have to be willing to maybe fail a lot more than you'll succeed, and you have to have very thick skin. But you always have to be innovative and creative. So it's nice to see that this has spun off into other groups that have started doing it, because I think the hardest challenge for most startup vendors is getting their name out there, right? Getting people to know that they exist. And the reality of it is you can't just be there one time. You have to show consistency. You have to be in there for the long haul, for the partners to really be able for you to establish credibility, right? Because there's been plenty of fly-by-night businesses that have came out big and gone in 6 months. And for partners, their whole business is built around these vendors, these products. So they're making lifelong business decisions off of these. So, so it's great, it's exciting, but back to the program itself, it's jumped leaps and bounds. It went from being just a competition where they picked a few people, a few really good product companies to pitch at live at IT Nation Connect, to where we turn into an accelerated incubator program it's a season. It's literally a competitive season now at this point. And went from 5 or 7 or maybe even 10 vendors that are involved until they narrowed down to 3. To 2 years ago was 18. Last year was 26.
Wow.
And we had way more applications than that. That was just the ones that we thought were the best fit. So yeah, we're getting ready, and we're getting ready to put out the press release in a couple of days, because then the application process will start February 1st. So I recommend anybody from around the entire globe to apply. We've had over just last year alone 6 different countries represented, between the U.S., Canada, to Israel, to Australia, to New Zealand, to the U.K. They all involved in this competition.
Very casual, Cameron McFie. I'm excited to talk to you. Thanks so much for your time today. What is it about? What attracts you to smoked meats?
I don't know. I think it's the fire. I think it's the charcoal. I think it's the getting into the building the fire. I'm kind of a bit of a pyro. I love anything about fire. I find it really, really, really relaxing. So I had like a business planning session yesterday, and at the end of the day, after lots of thinking, just sat there in front of a fire and just watch the fire go off, and it's just random. It's mesmerizing, I think.
Even as a child, you had this?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, big time.
There is something very comforting, especially about a campfire. When we're all around it, and it's there and it's controlled, and so it's not necessarily the smoked meats, it's the actual fire. You enjoy that. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah, look, it's also a process as well. Like it uses your brain between, like, if you do a 15, 20-hour cook, there's lots of things you need to think about, like a good brisket. I do a brisket that takes like 24, 25 hours, and
Wow.
and you're basically every hour spritzing it, and yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's like, get your mind off IT and other things.
Every hour for 20 hours, you're going in there and spritzing it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh my, I bet you it's fantastic.
Oh, it's beautiful. In fact, I got disappointed. I went to Texas and I had some barbecue there, and I was just really, mine's better. Like,
where did you go?
it was in Dallas, so apparently that's not the place to go. But
Austin,
Austin, yeah.
I wonder, did you go to the Pecan Lodge in Dallas?
I think
Do you
yes.
remember
I
where you
think
went?
that's the one. Yeah, I think that's the one.
Yeah, it's got a very big smoker out there, and
Yes.
it usually has a long line to get in it.
Yeah, so you had to get in early in the morning, and that's the thing. But yeah, no, it was good. It just was, I don't know, just not like mine. I think mine was softer, and I think it's because the constant spritzing, as I said, like that. Mine's a lot softer. So
I like also you sent over. You said you like boating, but you occasionally catch fish.
yeah. Well, I stopped calling it fishing. We're not fishing. We're going boating. So it's one of these things. I think, yeah, going boating is more realistic. So we might have boating with a light in the water. That's about like all I can say. So catching fish, yeah, that's an optional thing.
I see you got a
Uh,
big fish poster there over your shoulder.
yeah, that's all of the fish in Australia. So yeah, no, it's so you got to come back and look at what they should be or what you should have, but you don't have.
I see.
So it's like the dream poster.
I see, like a goal, yeah, like a goal for you. Very, very interesting. And many Australians travel, especially yourself. You go 6 months a year.
Yeah, so I kind of ended up, I think it was about 2 years ago, I ended up being more like a digital nomad. I lived in Egypt for 10 months during COVID
Whoa!
type thing, and I spent like 7 months last year away. This year, 2 months in Sri Lanka, 1 month in Mexico, probably 3 months in America. Yeah,
Wow.
so yeah, that's the plan. So, and I'm a bit of an F1 fan as well. So some of the things I go to.
Oh.
So yeah. So speaking of Austin, I'm going to go there for F1 this year. That's the plan.
Very cool. There was a big Formula One race yesterday, I believe. I have good friends that are into it.
Yeah, in
Um,
Belgium. Yeah,
in Belgium. Yes, yes,
yeah.
yes. How did it go?
Just disappointing for me, but yeah. Well,
Uh,
well. I like the guy in the back. I like Checo, which is he's the other Red Bull driver, and Max Verstappen just wins all the time. So you
mm.
like to go for the guy that might win, but he's not winning. But yeah, he's not doing well. So oh well, that's all right. So
That's so cool to follow that around the world.
oh yes, so far I've been to Australia, Singapore, Mexico, trying to get to Austin this year. But my goal, in 2 years' time is Monaco GP. That's my business goal / personal goal.
Um,
So you talk about discipline. That's my I
good for
gotta
you.
push hard to get to there because it's very expensive to go to Monaco.
Yes. And Australia handled the pandemic very kind of harshly, very strictly. You were in Egypt during that time. How was it there?
Yeah, so it's one of the reasons why I went. So
Uh,
my business partner is over there, and so she said, "Come on over." Like there's no restrictions here. It was
mm,
kind of funny, like total opposite of Australia. But you could go anywhere, talk to anyone, do anything. But I was staying in a seaside town and doing diving in the likes,
whoa.
and you could talk to anyone and be at a bar beside someone. But if you get in the water, like the Red Sea, like a really, really salty sea, you couldn't stand anywhere near someone. Like you couldn't be in the water with someone else in the water with you, in the sea, in the Red Sea. Like it didn't
Really?
make sense. It didn't make sense. So yeah, so it had all these weird rules, but yeah, Australia. I don't really want to go down the Australia line,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
don't bring up the war, that sort of thing. But yeah,
Mm,
it's one of the reasons why I got out. And I was supposed to only be away for 3 months, but because I couldn't get back in, it was 10 months. So it was basically I had my flight booked for 3 months' time, knowing that I might not get back in 3 months' time, and then my flight got cancelled, and the next available flight was another 8 months later, whatever. So 7 months
wow.
later, yeah. So
Incredible.
yeah.
So you started with a mining company supporting large IT support there. That your first kind of go at IT?
So first go at IT was in Education Queensland, so basically the education department in Australia. But that was sort of the help desk type role. Then I went into BHP. I think for me, I was thinking about it yesterday. I think that really shapes who I am today and what I look
Really?
for. It's yeah, I think when you look at big mining companies, it's got a different mindset. They're just money's not an option,
Hmm.
but everything's got to happen now. Like it's So there's some ridiculous requirements, mostly always time. Time's money for them, basically.
Wow.
So you have to be. I got part of projects that I had to design, well, plan out, if you like, and execute on moving a set of infrastructure, uh, from Wollongong to Sydney, which is about 2 hours drive. And this infrastructure was costing BHP $1 million an hour in average.
Whoa.
So we kind of had like an unlimited budget to try and make sure that was limited to 2 hours, and that was it. So, you can think about where the options go. And so I was 20 years old when, we were planning this, and so I was just joking around going, can we use a helicopter? And they were like, no, can't, because we already thought about that. We can't, because, it's a metro area, can't land a helicopter. And so I was thinking about all these things, and it was blowing my mind, because you look at, like, I'm sitting there as a 20-year-old going, a helicopter, that's just a joke. And they're like, no, that just doesn't work. And so we tried everything. And in the end, we ended up taking 3 cars to reduce the risk. So we thought about getting a proper delivery truck driver company, but the risk on that was too high to have the delivery truck. And if they had a crash or something happened, that $1 million an hour could turn into a lot. So
amazing.
And everything went wrong, as you can imagine. It was old infrastructure. And, as soon as we started it back up in another data center, thankfully we had HP or Compact back in the day. On standby, sitting there in the data center with pretty much every part of the server, because we had to put it all back together again. But yes, it's like that. For me, I think it's really changed how I think, because I really like really complex problems and hard problems, and I think that's kind of where we focus as a business, is on bigger MSPs, is because they got more challenges, they got more requirements, and they want a more tailored solution. I think that's what I like.
So then you went to the hosting. You were hosting MSP space. Co-founded an MSP, a Mantra.
In Mantra, yep. So basically, yeah. So it started a company called Web Central, which was one of the first companies to host Exchange in Australia. So I basically designed that platform, put it all together, worked with Microsoft on working out how to do that. It was a big thing, because back in the day that was quite difficult. And then then started up a hosting company yourself, and ended up being an MSP, working with government hosting as well. So yeah, it was a bit of a change starting up my own business, and I love that, actually. That's why I started again. So
But you didn't like them calling you at 3:00 in the morning.
No, I didn't. I don't miss that at all. So I don't miss that at all. So yeah, it's definitely something that I think, you can have it. That's why I don't want to be an MSP anymore. I think
it's hard.
I don't miss that at all. So I like getting my sleep, but PitchIT program is really changing that. I'm getting up at 4:00 in the morning regularly, so it's now
because you have to,
5:40 in the morning. So
wow.
Wow. So,
do you have something being smoked right now?
not at the moment, no. So,
okay. Because if you had to leave and spritz, I would understand.
yeah, look, no, I get it, but no, not today. So maybe tonight, but yeah. So usually it's a short cook, usually 2 or 3 hours, which people go a short cook, but yeah, it's 2 or 3 hours. But yeah, I do like a nice pulled pork, which is generally 8-9 hours. So
wow.
Get up in the morning and start as soon as you get up in the morning. So yeah. It's a good weekend event, right?
It's a great. I love to cook, but smoking seems to me is like you just kind of sit and let it go and come back and visit. I mean, I kind of saute things and keep on it and then start eating it. It's just a very kind of it's a very different way of doing it.
Yeah, look, so I like cooking too, but it's I think that's another part of it. It's not just the fire, but yeah, I do love cooking, and I like trying different things. So I think I went to Mexico. I've been in Mexico 2 years in a row now, and I'll be in Mexico again this year. But I think I just love their food, like ceviche and pico de gallo, and like it's just so fresh and tasty. I think that's the thing for me.
Yeah, you can never go wrong.
So
It's so
yeah,
good.
so I do like ceviches, are like nice because we have great fish, and
Right.
not caught by us, but but yeah, have great fish here and like all around the world. But yeah, so when you get some really nice fish, it's good for
Mm,
ceviche. And,
makes
yeah,
a difference, huh?
and sashimi.
Sashimi. Ah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And of course, the tequila is really good over there in Mexico too.
Oh, of course, and the old mezcal. So you got to get the smoke back
And a
in, right? Like,
mezcal, that's right. You like the smoke. Yes, yes. Yes, I could
so,
see that. So when you were
uh,
at Ripe, you figured out like an underbilling issue.
yeah. So part of my role as CTO there was like coming in and auditing all the systems, finding out what's going wrong, and we found that they were underbilling by 5%. Which, when you look at a $200 million company, that's
Wow.
a lot of money they're putting out the door. So yeah. So
How did you find that out? How did you find out they were underbilling by 5%?
look, we did an audit, and basically part of my role was to try and build a new billing system there. So we built a new platform. So I got 20 something developers, and we built a platform which does all the billing provisioning for everything that Ripe does. Basically, they're a distributor here, software distributor here in Australia, but Asia Pacific, basically. So they're now called Crayon. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, so I think that sparked like, well, that and another thing with the Mantra was at a Mantra we had a supplier audit, which I'm sure most people on this call would have been through at some point, and we got smacked with $100,000 bill because we were misreporting. And I think
Wow.
that's where I think it really started, is like, let's get that reporting right, let's get that billing right, because that was the big thing. We had $100,000 bill, and we can't back bill our customers. So we had to cop that bill,
Ooh.
and yeah, that hurt. But yeah, so combine that with Ripe, and just talking to MSPs regularly at Ripe. So I was part of lots of events, conferences, all sorts of things, and I talked to a lot of MSPs, and it was just a common thing that really surprised me, that people were manually billing. It just
Mm.
it just blew my mind, especially big companies, so big MSPs that $100 million MSPs, and they're manually billing. So I I spoke to one that was, I think, 300 million as a company. They were taking 7 people 30 days to do billing, like
Wow.
every month. And I'm just going, why? Like, what, what's going on? I don't, it just
Wow.
blows me away. So,
When you went to management and you told them you discovered that they're underbilling by 5% for what was it, $150 million company? Is that what you
$200
said?
million
200
company.
million. I mean, what was that conversation like?
Um, I don't know. It was kind of, one of those moments, and
Yeah,
yay at the same time. It's like, oh,
right.
cool, because it was a publicly listed company, so it's all right. Oh, cool, we're going to go uptick in revenue. So that's awesome. So yes, it was a bit of a down moment of, oh shit, we did that really. But yeah, the
Mm.
uptick in revenue, the CEO obviously happy to report to the board.
Sure, sure. I've got
So
good and bad news. You tell,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah. So Cameron, then you started Zenith.
yes, yeah. So Zenith, in short, is a software solution helping MSPs reclaim that money back they should be getting, but not getting today due to billing errors. So we do that with billing automation of Microsoft CSP and managed services in particular, because
Mm.
that's where we see the main revenue sources and where people are making mistakes. So talk about that 5% number that I mentioned before. We've seen up to 15.9 is the highest I've seen for people
Wow.
underbilling. So, and that like meant another $1 million for that MSP every year. So that was, and there's another, I've basically done two so far, which is over $1 million. We found them.
Wow.
And yeah, it's just scary, the numbers out there. And like the average, I talked to our competitors and in this billing space, and they're all saying the same thing. 5% is the minimum they see, 10% is the average, but well north of that they see as well. Just because you think about it, like from a managed services point of view, a lot of people used to like do these contracts where they put the finger in the air and go, "Oh, right, I think it's about 5,000 a month. That's what the managed service is going to cost you." And that's when they had like 5 PCs, whatever it is, 10 PCs, whatever it is. I'm inserting a number here. But the thing is, and then that company 10 years later, you come back to it, it ends up being a 90 person employee, like 90 person company, and they're just underbilling massively because they're still billing it 10 users, 5,000 a month, whatever it is. So just for me, I look at this and it's just a recurring theme for me. I wonder why, and I really think, if I'm honest, I think it's because MSPs are tech focused, right? Like they love the tech, They love the front of house is more exciting, and getting that right. Back of house is boring, and don't want to deal with back of house. But it's where you make the money, right? Like, yes, you make the money with the service, but a crazy stat that Jay McBain told me from Canales was that 30% of MSPs either stagnant or losing money. And to him, he thinks that's purely back of house based because they're not, haven't got their stuff together. So another stat he gave, which you saw as part of the PitchIT program, is like $80 billion. Managed services providers are billing every year, and if you look at 5%. That's $4 billion a year that people are throwing out the window. Like it's a big number.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, maybe right around the average, 25% of the MSPs are losing money, 50% are breaking even-ish, and then 25% are making very good money. I think those are kind of the breakdowns. So yeah, you've got 75% that are breaking even or losing money. I mean, yeah, and is it back of the house? It's very interesting. When you made did you make the platform at Ripe and then bring it over to Zenith? Did you start from scratch? How does that work?
Started from scratch. It's a totally different platform. So Ripe's platform was about billing and provisioning for their services, whereas this is about pulling data from Microsoft and pushing it into ConnectWise or Autotask or Xero or insert billing platform here.
Right. Whatever their PSA is.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of MSPs kind of think of it as a necessary evil, but they should not look over it because they could be missing out on a lot of revenue.
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't seem to be something that's front of mind or top of mind, if you like. But it should be, and I think that's the big message I want to get out there. I guess is like, go with us or don't go with us. I don't care, but go and have a look at your billing. It's not exciting, but it's the exciting bit is getting more money, right? So back to that conversation with the board. It's like, oh no, we've lost 5%, but it's also a happy moment at the same time. So,
but I thought I heard you say that the sweet spot for MSPs for your platform is around the 50 to 100 million in revenue. Do I have that wrong?
No, I wouldn't say sweet spot, but look, we're trying to focus on the bigger MSPs, yeah. So probably our focus is probably the 20 million or above, but that doesn't mean we're not doing that. So we got MSPs which are 5 million a year, so and above. Basically, we've got quite a broad range, but where we like to focus, and I think this is where the biggest problem is, coming back to the mining scenario, right? Is I like that big challenge. I like that. We've got a big MSP group is where I'm trying to go to, where your New Charters of the world, where they got 30, 40 MSPs in a group, and they're trying to move them together and get unified billing and unified provisioning and all that sort of stuff. I think that's it's that complexity of dealing with all different companies and merging them together. That's what I love. So rather than just here's a shelf product that you just buy and you run. I think also for me it's that consulting piece. I think that's where I like that high touch service. So I like that talking to customers regularly, when NCE, so New Commerce Experience for Microsoft came in for Microsoft CSP, I was talking to our customers for about 6 months before that came in and help them with their plans. What are they going to do? What are they going to do with all their licenses? Are they going to move? Are they not going to move? Are they going to go all in one, or are they going to stagger it over a year or two? And I think that's the extra thing. So it's not just providing a software product. I think it's that hand holding the whole way along, and that's why generally, I don't like that sort of out of the box solution that you go and buy this and off you go and go do it yourself. So I think people need help, and that's I think the big thing for me is the people doing the billing. They're not keeping on top of all these products, and what is CSP and what is this Entra ID thing? Like, I constantly get questions like that from the accounts team, and they could ask their sales team, but they find it easier to talk to us. Like, so go, all right, well, there's this thing that's all of a sudden getting built called Entra ID. I'm like, oh, it's Azure ID. It's the same thing. And but this is a common thing. They don't get told. They're not in the know. They're not the salespeople trying to sell this, so they don't know that. And I think for me, the other thing is, part of that, the first company I found $1 million, I went in and kind of looked at their process as a whole. Like, it was being a big MSP is very disjointed. Like, you get a provisioning team, a procurement team doing the provisioning, and they're talking to the projects team, and the projects team's telling them to start, procuring the licenses, and then you've got the billing team. And then, all of these don't mix. So you've got the procurement team that procured it too early, or the project team saying, well, procure the licenses now, but the billing team said, no, we've got a contract which says we're not going to bill you for 6 months. So, like, hang on, we can't buy the licenses now. So it's one of these things that, once again, that consulting piece is kind of coming in and going, how do you do CSP? Like, how, and this is where things go wrong. So it's not just the poor Jane in accounting is doing the billing. It's not her fault. There's so many parts to it. It's quoted wrong. It's provisioned at the wrong time. It's provisioned with the wrong license type. We saw one that they were losing $15,000 a month. Jeez. Purely because they were doing a commercial license instead of a not-for-profit. So they were selling it to the customer as a not-for-profit, but they bought it from Microsoft as a commercial license. So they were losing $15,000 a month every month just on that one customer. So we fixed that up really quickly. But that's the sort of thing that this is common mistakes people make, and that's when you get that disjointed teams. That you miss out on this stuff. And small businesses, they tend to, talk a lot more. But in bigger businesses, when it's spread out, it seems to be a bigger problem.
Those walls, It's fascinating to me, Cameron, how billing still encompasses almost everybody in the company. It's just like, to have them do the billing, but they really can't. They can't be all separate doing it. They have to be involved because they have to know where the project is, what the quoting was, etc. They need to be part of the whole process.
That's it. That's exactly right. So, yeah, I think, you talked about the project. It's, when do you start billing? Like, is it in the contract? And this is what I look at is everything. It's like, what's your contract look like? Are you telling them you're buying licenses for month one, and therefore you're going to be billing them for licenses for month one? Or are they expecting that they're not going to start paying for licenses until the project's finished? These are the sort of things that people miss out on, I think, as I said, scale, getting bigger, you're trying to get these programs in and make them happen, but rarely do people focus on the whole picture of how are we going to do this program. And that was my other role at Ripe, basically, was so we had, I think, 20 countries. So setting up 20 countries worth of CSP, and how are we going to get that process? How are we going to quote it? How are we going to provision it? And you look at all the different Asian countries and how they do tax and how they do, down to some stupid things like rounding. Like, I can't believe how many conversations we had about rounding and what.
Really?
Oh yes, like in different countries, like, do you round up, do you round down, or you do bankers rounding, which is a totally different thing. But yeah, so
Hmm.
it's very, very interesting that, these things go on. And in Asia, like if you're out by a cent, they'll just say, I'm not paying your bill.
Wow.
So not until you fix it up. And then like, it's because their rounding's different to your rounding, and therefore they go, no, not paying the bill, go away. So whereas in Australia, people go, it's out by a cent, they just underpay it by a cent. Like,
Right.
then it's your problem to deal with.
Yeah. You've
So
got to reconcile it now. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. You mentioned, Cameron, that you're in the ConnectWise PitchIT program. What do you expect to get out of that? What's your goal there?
well, ultimately to win, but but look, for me, it's the program is a journey for me. So yes, there's a pitch in the end and the competition, and hopefully winning $70,000.
Mm.
But for me, it's and the marketing accordingly. But for me, it's been a journey for me in business, and really spending a lot of time thinking about what's our pitch, getting our pitch right, getting um, more content out there, like thinking about all sorts of stuff. And I think just learning how others do it, I think, is the big thing I was trying to get out of it. So it's a lot of hours, in, with early mornings, as I said. So getting up at 4:30 in the morning, especially in winter and cold, it's nice. But yeah, so I think for me, getting out of what do I get out of it is basically it's learning more about how others do it, and I just love the community. Like I'm
Yeah.
part of the ConnectWise Evolve community. I'm a solution
Oh,
partner in Evolve in Australia as well. And, between all the solution partners and generally all the Evolve members, it's lots of fun. I actually just like being at the events, and, whether they buy the product or not, it's kind of fun just talking to people and learning, how people do stuff. So, like I'd love to, I don't know, I've been around MSPs for a while. Yes, I don't miss the 3 a.m. calls, but I think for me, it's learning how they do stuff. Like I look at this cybersecurity thing, and it's another reason why I don't want to be an MSP again. Like it's a
mm.
scary concept. But I talk to people at conferences. Like I talked to someone at DattoCon last year and year before, sorry, and they were like a 2-man band MSP, and they're trying to do a cybersecurity practice. I'm like, how? Like you got 2
Wow.
people. How are you going to do that?
Hmm.
So, and it fascinates me how, how MSPs do all of this stuff is the thing. So I know the Microsoft CSP program changed the dynamics of IT overall. I think, before you had to host your own infrastructure and you had to have your own data centers, your own
Mm.
everything. Now you can be a 2-man band that doesn't have any infrastructure anywhere and do everything in the cloud. It's a very different dynamic. So, we saw the number of partners, I think, was tripled in 1 year just because of that CSP program. Just because
Really?
smaller companies can come in and they don't need any infrastructure. They don't need that big upfront capex to get started as an IT company. So I think that
Born in the
was,
cloud.
yeah, pretty much. It was a big game changer.
Yeah, I mean, back in the 90s, the 2000s, we had to put a server together, put small business server on it, get it to there's all this kind of overhead that's not involved anymore. But it's when I ask MSPs now what keeps them up at night, they say 3 things. They say security, they
Hmm.
say human capital, if their techs leave, how they're going to replace them, and then growth. How are they going to grow? It's interesting. I think your product actually helps in that third. I think are you growing properly? Are all your systems in place?
Yeah, I think so. That's pretty much it. I think, well, you look at your standard, what a product should do, right? It should all reduce risk, increase revenue, hopefully, and
Mm.
improve efficiency. And we kind of do all of that. Reduce risk by making sure you don't bill incorrectly, and increase revenue, obviously, because we're billing accurately, and operational efficiency instead of taking weeks or days and down to hours of doing billing. So That's the thing. And we kind of, I look at it as well. A lot of products indirectly give you additional revenue. So, by selling this product, you can get some more revenue. Like ours is just direct. As soon as you implement it, you're getting more revenue, and
Wow.
we're making sure we maintain that additional revenue. So that's the big thing as well that people miss out on is, yes, you can fix it up once, which one company did last year. So they did an audit with us, and we found $1 million, and then they went away and just fixed everything. And went, yeah, cool, we're good now. And I'm
Whoa.
going, but hang on, you got to this point. It's going to happen again. It's only a matter of time. So, so it's maintaining and making sure that 15% of that $1 million doesn't turn into $5 million of the problem. So, and that's the thing. So. But yeah, so definitely helping grow, that is definitely a thing. But,
Yeah, it certainly is. And your platform, I assume, is just it's all cloud, so they just connect to a portal. They do everything there.
yeah, so it's all Microsoft Azure based. Yeah, so they just connect to a portal, log in. They can see all their data from Microsoft, all their invoices and the likes from Microsoft.
Wow.
But also from a managed services point of view, what we're doing there with the managed services billing is getting that active user count right. So I guess one of the challenges MSPs have is working out how many users are there each month. And so we do that with a set of rules, making sure get rid of any users that, are disabled, any users that don't have a license assigned, get rid of any users which have admin in the name, or, that are a printer or equipment mailbox or shared mailbox or whatever it is. So you do all those sort of rules, and then you get down to a number of users, and then the system's keeping that maintained from then onwards. So based on those rules is the idea. So yeah,
That is really important, checking the Active Directory, because sometimes they're not accounting for all the users. And if they're charging per user, why aren't they? Yeah, that's really important. That's a really good point.
to that point, like the big thing that most MSPs would hopefully agree with is the support teams can be hopeless at offboarding. So they might do some steps, but not all the steps with offboarding, and that's the point. When you have automation like Peer or whatever it is that's doing your offboarding for you, then fine. But generally they've got to take them out of a group, get rid of their license, disable the account, do all sorts of things. And it's the thing I've seen over and over and over. They disable the user, but don't get rid of the license, or they disable the user, but don't remove them out of the group. So if you do it based on a group or whatever, then you can't look at one area. You've got to look at all of them, because the support person might have done one of the tasks to get rid of the user, but not all of them. And it's a very common thing. So, and you I talk about those walls and the disjointedness.
Yeah.
Back in the day, not back in the day, still happens a lot. Is MSPs are billing based on tickets. So support ticket comes in going, add one new user, add two new users, and then they forward that ticket to the finance to go and update ConnectWise or Autotask or whatever. And that usually happens, and usually happens well. But imagine if it's like, I give my example, which is add one user is one ticket, add two users is another ticket, add 5 users is another ticket, and then take off 3 users is another ticket. And so if the support team forgot to do that 5 users, like from now on, like the count's going to be out massively.
Wow.
And it just continues to be a problem, because people generally don't say, these are listed names for the finance team. It's just +1 or -1 or whatever. So it's not really a reduce. Well, have a look at the list and take this guy off. It's just +1 -1, and that's where the count gets out eventually, because not always do the support team forward that +1 or -1 to finance. And you might be starting with the wrong number as well. So it's going to be wrong ever since. So for their after, basically. So.
Yeah, it's amazing, Cameron. A lot of the MSPs are tech led, right? And so they're just worried
Of
about the
course.
technology. They're worried about the security. They're worried about closing tickets. Billing is much more than just hand it off to a person once or twice a month or whatever it may be. There's so many intricacies that you need there, and you're missing out on revenue.
Yeah, of course. And yeah. As I said, it's what I'm passionate about. I just
Yeah,
don't get it. I don't get it.
good for you.
It's the quickest way for people to get more money, and that's the big thing that I look at is
Hmm.
just look at your billing, and you'll uptick your revenue, and
Wow.
and that's where I look at these all these MSPs being bought by PE companies and VC companies or whatever. I would have thought that's the first thing the PE companies would have wanted to do, like come in and like,
Mm.
how do we uptick revenue? Like, how do we increase revenue massively this year? And the first one for me would be billing.
Hmm.
Yes, like we get more salespeople, we get more whatever, but get the billing right.
Is the billing
And
right?
you think about this, right? You get billing right, then you've got, let's say, $100,000 extra in your bank account. Now you can pay part of the salesperson, right? Like
Right.
that's so now you can increase your revenue and increase the revenue. So yeah, that's
Hmm.
the thing. It's kind
Seems
of a
logical.
circle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems absolutely logical. So when I started my MSP, Cameron, and I think you heard the story before, I was working way too hard, 14-hour days, not paying attention to myself, got myself up to 340 pounds, just eating poorly and not exercising. The doctor said to me, if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. My daughter was just born. Spent the next 6, 7 months, lost about 130 pounds. People always ask me how. They want a quick answer. I always say discipline. I got, developed a routine, developed some habits, got focused. I wonder how discipline plays a role in your life, Cameron McFie.
Yeah, look, um, I would say it's like the discipline for me would be making sure you take time to yourself. That'd be my
Mm,
discipline. So yes, I've got discipline from a work point of view. I've got a very fixed goal that I won't mention online, but Monaco is the outcome of that goal.
good for you.
So there's some discipline around that, but I think it's about making sure you get some time to yourself. So I as a younger me, I got in the habit of working 18, 20-hour days and just constantly doing what you did, right? Just eat badly, work 20-hour
Mm,
days, whatever. I think
mm, mm,
now I've got a different mantra to life. As I said, you sit there and play with a fire for 20 hours. Like
hmm.
it's quite soothing, taking that time out. I think that's my discipline is making sure you take some time yourself, and that's where I like that travel piece as well. So I travel for work, but I also I like to take a lot longer time there. So
Mm,
we've got employees in Sri Lanka. So last time I was there for a month, and so I took some time off and tripped around, and I'm going to do the same thing towards the end of the year and see more of Sri Lanka for my sake, right? Like that's not for
mm,
the business. So it just so happens I'm there for business, but
mm,
yeah, it's that taking your time for yourself, and I think I look at it. Some people someone talked to me the other day about like my F1 and travel, and they're like, "You must be really rich. Like you keep doing all this." And I'm like, "Well, for a start, I'm not married or don't have kids, so that makes
mm.
things a lot easier." But it's I think also just I like to focus on myself sometimes. Like to go to the F1, spend that money, and enjoy yourself and have something to
Mm,
look forward to. Right? That's the why we're working. We're working to get money to do things that we want to do. So, we get to this age. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 48, right? And you get to this sort of age, and you see all sorts of things like people dying at this age, and you go, "That's way
mm,
too early."
mm.
And so, for me, I'm kind of got a new view on life. It's like focus on me and do the things you want to do. That sort of thing. I think, yeah, taking time for yourself. I think that's the big thing.
Yeah, Cameron, you strike me as someone who has a great life work balance.
Yeah, so that's the plan. Yes.
Yeah, it's very important because when I gained all the weight, I was in my 20s. I was full of fire. I was like, "Yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go." But then as you get older, you get some experiences, and you value things a little bit differently. What motivates you, Cameron?
Oh, good question. I think Monaco.
Look at you.
um, so, yeah, look, I've got a particular goal. Should I say it? I don't know. Um, so I'm 50 years old in 2 years' time, and the goal's related to that. And I think it's for me. It's as a kid, I got told, I got picked on my brothers, and got told all sorts of things like, can't do this, can't do that. I think, if I'm honest, I'm driven by people telling me I can't do something. I think
Mm.
that's I think that's what drives me. I think, if I'm honest. So, it, yes, like people have always said, you can't be a CEO, you can't be like, you're too nice of a
Mm.
guy, you
Mm.
can't be a CEO. That's just, no, that's not right. You have to be an asshole to be a CEO. Like,
Mm.
and I just go, all right, cool, fine, I'm going to do it anyway. So, yeah, I think that's I don't know. I think that's what drive. I think that would have to be my biggest driver.
Hmm.
It's like people telling me you can't do something.
So prove the haters wrong.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. So
Hmm.
it's that, and I think, well, I get bored if I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I get bored easy, I think, is the point. So
Mm.
that's where playing. It, I get bored easy, but a simple thing like playing with a fire for 20 hours, it's so good. So yeah, I don't know. Like I can sit and watch a fire for 2 or 3 hours and
Wow.
not have any music, not play with my
Good for
phone,
you.
not anything, just sit and watch. I just love it. It's really cool. And,
So given that motivation, how do you measure success?
um, yeah, good. That's a really good question. Uh, that's a tough one. I'm kind of hard on myself, but yeah, I think from success, I would say is reaching my goal in 2 years' time for a start. That would be my big point of success, is trying to get to that Monaco GP and bring some mates is the idea. So the people that help me along the way with the business is, bring them along to Monaco and pay for them as well. So I think
Mm.
um, I think that would be my definition of success. I I'd also say just constantly growing.
Mm.
That's probably, um,
Hmm.
if I'm going backwards, or yeah, I think success to me is like getting up every morning and going forward, as opposed to like
Mm.
going
Mm.
backwards. I think that's, someone once said to me, as long as you're growing, 1%, just 1% every day, then, think about how much that is over
Mm.
time, right? So, if you can just do that one little extra thing, and, you came back to, what do I want to get out of PitchIT? Like, for me, I'm getting up and I'm thinking about, like, where's my pitch? Like, what should I do in the business? Should I get funding? Should I not get funding? Like, it's kind of making me think every day. That's a bit of a driver as well, right? It's where do I go from here? And it's making me think a lot.
Yeah, I'm like you in that respect, Cameron. I'm just kind of eternally curious. I got to keep growing.
Hmm. And hence
Yeah.
your podcast and the people you have on.
Yeah, yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, we're in the same industry, but otherwise, you know, me being in the States, you being in Australia, it'd be very hard. Well, you travel so much, you never know if we could bump into each other. But that is nice to have this kind of vehicle to talk to
Yeah, for
interesting
sure.
people like yourself. Cameron, I was really excited when we set this up. I love working with the Pitch It program. I love what you're doing and helping managed service providers. Thank you so much for your time. So, anybody watching or listening, where can they get in touch with you?
So Zenith.com, so Xeneth.com, is the website. There's a contact us at the top. Otherwise, contact me on LinkedIn, Cameron McFie from Zenith. So
Excellent. And McFie is MCFIE. We'll make sure we put it
Yes.
in the show notes. Cameron, thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to seeing you. And boy, I would love to try some of that brisket. Maybe one day.
Have to bring some over to Orlando for a connect or something. Yeah, so, yeah.
Thanks
Might
so
be a bit
much.
old by then. But, yeah.
I appreciate it. Enjoy your day.
Thank you very much. Enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Disciple Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Disciple Conversations.